the start. Round the outside line goes Danny, who now goes for the race lead, but he's fighting back on Prix for life in a minute, and the Red Bull just about holding his position. And here for round 5 is going to win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Malou wins here in Baku. Right then, good afternoon ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to Extinguished Motorsports. We are back then on the Wednesday evening, and it is the third round of the season here for the Japanese Grand Prix. 13 drivers joining us this evening, and a very nice race ahead of us. We've got Traps in the chat, Buxton as well. Welcome in to everybody here this evening. We've got a very nice race on our hands. Don Pedrito, Leeboy QAV, Red 44 Dog, and Tom J. Otter all with laps on the board already. I appreciate that very much, Charlie. Thank you. In the chat, that is a cool intro, he says. Quite new, we've got on the channel. I got it made recently by myself because I do enjoy doing stuff like that, but appreciate it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the third round of the season, and the previous round in Canada was quite an exciting one indeed. A really, really good one to watch, then won by Passy, and of course we did get that interview finally by Leeboy QAV, who finished in third place in the previous round. I am going to get the full results up for you when I can. As I mentioned, it was of course out in Canada, with Passy being your winner and winning it by a huge margin. It was something crazy, 20-something seconds he won it by. Traps took second place, and third, like I mentioned, Leeboy QAV. Then was Owen in fourth, then Perceivable 5, Red 44 Dog 6, Tom J. Otter lined up 7, Andrew Pittsmith 8, 9, Speed Freak, and 10 was Stray Dog Racing. So that is how Canada wrapped up. But now we have this brilliant track, the Japanese circuit here in Suzuka. Suzuka that it is, and some drivers setting times already then across the line for Red 44 Dog. We'll get some of the data up for you then as he heads in towards turn 1. This is potentially looking like a lap for him then, with quite a bit of battery. Red looking to be pushing his car to the limits then as Passy, the previous race winner here in Extinguished. He lines up third place now in the Alpine. Traps goes up to P2, same place as where he finished in the previous round, and Decker's in P3, who was on for a podium, very much so. Absolutely brilliant job from him last round, until it went all a bit wrong, and him and I can't remember who the other driver was, run each other off the track, and of course allowed Leeboy QAV to come through and take that position, and that is what ultimately got him that podium at the end and got him in the interview room. And Drew being one of my good friends, it was quite funny. It really was, but hopefully we can get him in there again. Red does invalidate on this lap around, and that'll be the end of that for a moment. Drew, crazy time by Don Pedrito, he says. Same with Deck, and yeah, 1:27.9 for Don. He is looking really fast at the minute. In that Williams as well. Really, really decent lap time for Don Pedrito showing up this evening. As Leeboy, who did say that, he's pretty much a whole second then behind Don at the moment. So a second to fine for Leeboy. On the podium last week, invalidated on his outlap, and he's making his way around. He's going to save the battery in the non-ERS mode, getting ready then to push the car to the limits in this session, and hopefully get himself, you know, near the top of the starting order. For your top 5 then at the minute, everybody. Don Pedrito 1. And he's ahead by quite a nice little margin over Traps. Traps in 2, it's Deckers in 3 then. 4 is Passy, 5, Leeboy QAV. P6 is Andrew Pittsmith. P7 is Red 44 Dog. 8 is Tom J. Otter. 9 Perceivable, and 10 is Stray Dog. That is all the drivers that are here that have set times at the minute. Still waiting for St. Power, Owen and Pepys to begin, well, to start their laps or put a lap on the board today. But Pepys on his way around and towards the end of Sector 2 then in the Aston Martin. What can he do in Sector 2? It is purple apparently for Pepys then. We know this driver's fairly quick, is Pepys. Here he goes then into the final few corners. Can he surprise us this evening in the Aston Martin with the foot planted to the floor, and he exits round the final corner? Pepys towards the line in qualifying. He gets second place with a beautiful lap time and quite a bit in front of Traps there. 800ths of a second about. Look at that. Absolutely brilliant stuff then for Pepys as he gets himself on the front row of the grid. Dips his tyres onto the grass there though. As passing over the line, he does improve by 0.4 of a second, but still only third position after that try. Trap said he went purple in Sector 1 and 2 to be 3 tenths down in Sector 3. Just the way it goes, isn't it, sometimes? But Traps did come second place in the previous round. He is absolutely more than capable of, you know, taking a good starting position today. Across the line for Dom Pedrito. It is a 1 minute 27.7, an incredible lap time for the Williams, and it isn't looking like that will be beaten at the moment with 7 minutes remaining here in the qualifying session then in Suzuka. It is Dom Pedrito with the quickest time out of the 13 drivers here, 1:27.780. Is that going to be beaten? I'm not entirely sure. It is looking quick. He's been the quickest driver at the minute, and he does run onto the gravel trap there. As he fights to get back on, but Don looking quick. Pepys 2, Passy lines up 3rd, Traps in 4, and Owen 5. Decker's in P6, and this is a flying lap for him. We have missed the first sector, but we can still catch the middle. And with the beautiful, and it is beautiful, Red Bull livery that he's using, he is flying round in towards the end of this second sector and riding the curve a little bit there for the car, bouncing around on the exit, which could have lost him a little bit of time. Now Decker's towards the end of the second sector, and he's 0.03 of a second up, which is quite small at the minute, and he is going to want to find a bit more if he wants to potentially gain a few places, but this could be enough here to get into P5. It could be enough for a position, but he's in the pit lane, and Deckers does round off his session there for a moment. Leeboy QAV does the same into the pit lane as Andrew Pittsmith then running in 8. He's invalidated, but he looks ready to go on the lap around now then. I believe Traps just started the lap. Oh, he's coming around now, my apologies. And towards the line then with 15% battery. Traps takes pole position provisionally. A great improvement, and the first driver that has managed to challenge the great Dom Pedrito. Traps with 1 minute 27.584. Now he is the man on the top spot. Can he be beaten with a 1:27? Only 2 drivers to do it at the moment in the 1:27s. A brilliant time. Second place he came in the previous round, and now starting this race off in an even greater position. This driver could give us a show this evening. We could have a great race on our hands. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. This should be fun. It should be very fun indeed here in Suzuka. What a track it is. Oh, the back end sliding out. But it's all good because this is his in lap now. As Leeboy says he's so slow, and he does line up P7 at the minute, then quite a bit off the pace, unfortunately. But, you know, if you look around, he's at the exact same time as Andrew Pittsmith. That's great. That's very, very nice. I'm seeing that a lot more than usual at the minute. It's really, really odd. But I've seen it quite a few times. Very, very weird, that is. But anyway, Leroy has set the same time as Andrew Pipsmith then, which, you know, for saying that these times go down to 3 decimal places, that is just brilliant. It really, really is. To set a time the same, it's insanely hard. It really is. So, wow. Good stuff then for them too, who are fighting down in 7 and 8 for position at the moment. But only a few minutes to go of qualifying then, everybody, and these times do mean a lot in some respects. But, you know, you never know how it could start. The drivers at the front, it could be carnage, and the drivers behind are able to fly through and, you know, avoid that carnage and get themselves in front. That's certainly what I used to do in league racing, start further back and just manoeuvre your way through the action. That is normally the best strat for me. 3 minutes to go, and Trapp's currently the man on provisional pole, ladies and gentlemen. He is the man in front. And how well can he do this? Can he go ahead and be victorious this evening? Can he take pole, and can he go ahead to win the race? You never know what's going to happen tonight, but we will sure find out. Pepe's improved by half a second, then he now goes onto the front row of the grid with the 1:27.666. As he improves quite nicely there, ahead of Dom Pedrito by about 1/10 of a second then at the moment, as Dom Pedrito lines up 3rd place, and he was the driver to be, you know, unbeaten earlier on. Now he's being beaten by 0.2 of a second, so he's got a bit of a job on his hands if he wants to take pole, and he will exit the pit lane as soon as possible then, with only a few minutes to go, and the time is running short. So he needs to get a move on now, does Dom Pedrito, if he wants to you know, if he wants to make this work for himself in 3rd position, gunning for pole. And speak of the devil, he comes out of the pit lane and is ready to go again. Here he is then in 3rd, coming out. St. Power down in 13. I have not seen St. Power for a while, it doesn't look like. I don't think I have. As he is here in P13 on a flying lap at the moment. We're going to watch this one along, actually. It feels like I've not seen St. Power in a long time, but I know the man, and he's back. He's here in the kick Sauber, and in that first sector at the minute, which is actually probably the toughest to get right round there. Don't want to run it too wide and get onto the gravel, which will, you know, take you a bit off-footed. He's done the exact same thing there, then a bit too wide through there, and the same through them set of corners. St. Power, unfortunately, running a bit wide, and that will take time off of his lap. He's got 70% battery then to use, and he's going to burn it now with the fuel light coming on as well for the kick Sauber, which means he'll be running as light as a feather, but very, very soon he will be starting to feel the consequences of running low fuel then. Oh, and too much onto the curb as well, which causes the back end to slide out, and he has to try and correct it by counter steering, and it's just going to, you know, everything adds together and loses time for St. Power here. He hasn't even set a lap time at the minute. The slowest we've got is a 1:30.3 for Stray Dog Racing. Is St. Power going to be any quicker than that? He's looking a bit quicker at the moment. Then round the final corner and towards the line, St. Power on his first time today. It's a 1:30.4, and he is the slowest driver of the afternoon, unfortunately. But a few of the front-running drivers are on the track and making their way around. Passey's one of them. Owen as well. Deckers as well is what we want to see. St. Power retires, and at the end of qualifying, Deckers up by, I think, 0.3 of a second, that just said, as he makes his way down towards 130R. And in the 2026 regs, of course, the super clipping down there is not ideal. But Deckers then, he's improving by nearly 0.6 of a second in the middle sector, and this is going to be a mighty lap time for the Red Bull driver. Deckers across the line. He lines up 4th place this evening then with a great improvement of half a second. He lines up on the 2nd row of the grid then, joined by Dom Pedrito in 3rd. Pepe's now in 2nd place. Traps on another lap then, ladies and gentlemen. His final lap of the day. Burning battery now. This is where it gets very important for him. He's got Pepe's on the front row of the grid with him at the moment. If nobody beats him, he will be the driver to be on provisional pole. He's invalidated. He is invalidated on his final shot this evening will not be able to improve. But now it is all eyes to the drivers behind. Passy goes wide. Red 44 dog isn't looking like he's improving. Tom J. Otter as well potentially improves into the middle sector now. We'll find out as he heads towards the line. 111.4 is the 1/10th improvement then for the Racing Bull. Through 130R he goes. Tom J. Otter in towards the final chicane as the car responding exactly how it looks like it should at the moment. Around the final corner, the DRS activated into the barrier for Tom. Ruins his lap at the end then as he took a bit of a, unfortunately, a bit of a tight turn into the barrier, and Tom's lap is over. That is it for qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. After a great session, Traps takes pole position by a great amount of time there over Pepe's in second place. Brilliant lap time. The Red Bull on pole here in Japan. He does a donut as well. Does a donut to celebrate his performance this evening. Here is the finishing results then, everybody. It is Traps on pole position ahead of the two Polish drivers of Pepe's and Dom Pedrito 2 and 3. Then comes the Brit. It is Deckers in 4, Passy 5, then Owen P6, Leeboy QAV P7, Engaging Wrist, of course, Andrew Pittsmith in 8, 9, Red 44 Dog, and 10 is Percival. Next up is your Grand Prix, and we will be back for that in a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, we return, and this is it. The Grand Prix is upon us, finally. It is the third round of the season. People are saying new lobby. I'm not entirely sure what's been going on. Apparently some people have been disconnecting. I really hope we're not getting a new lobby, because it is... I think we started a bit late, but we'll find out think we started a bit early than some people were expecting. But either way, from my end, it is looking like we're going ahead with it for now. Traps, Pepe's, Don Pedrito, Deckers, Passy, your top 5. We've got Andrew Pittsmith saying people, new lobby, I got kicked. Might have a new lobby coming your way, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with me a moment, just reading the chat, just making sure I know what's going on here. Mackie joins us this evening. Hello, Mackie. Good to see you, mate. Glad you're in here this evening. It's a shame that I couldn't come on for the commentary tonight. How did your race go? Let me know how your race went. I think you were in the championship fight, weren't you? Drivers are disconnecting, which means we are going to have a new lobby, I believe, in this session, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. So I will let you know when I know. But at the minute, looking like we're going to get it. Yeah, we've got a lobby reset from the main man. P2, because someone calls safety car. I'm sad for you, mate. You'll get it next time. You'll get it next time. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lobby restart, which means I will be back when we get going again. I do apologise to leave you on this, but have a good evening, and I'll see you very soon. And we are back, everybody. It is lights out and away we go then for the Extinguished Motorsports round 3, and Traps off the line well down in towards turn 1 then with 27 laps in front of us. The Red Bull leads really well then. It is Pepe's into 2, Don Pedrito then in 3, and the drivers make their way through quite cleanly then at the moment. It's Andrew Pittsmith behind watching this battle unfold then. Owen ahead of Leeboy QAV here at the moment into P6. Goes the McLaren. We go to the back then, see what happened there. St. Power still running down at the back. We're going to see position changes. Perceivable then, who's gone down too, but no awful starts from anybody here as Leeboy is lost out there, then loses down to 9th place here. Someone running on the gravel traps as well. There's a Williams there, I think Don Pedrito potentially. It was Don Pedrito who's had a stinker, and now it is the Mercedes trying to get through as well as everybody else behind him. Look at this battle here. Then Andrew Pittsmith has got all the drivers behind him making their way through. Don Pedrito 7, Red 44 Dog 8, Leeboy QAV 9. He's now ahead of Tom Deotta and Red 44 Dog. Leeboy now ahead of Don Pedrito. He's making his way back through, pushing past the Williams then into P7. Leeboy has done it, now ahead of Don Pedrito. It is Andrew Pittsmith in P6, then comes Owen, Deckers and Pepe's. But Leeboy overtaken again now. As Carnage from behind. And off the track there goes Stray Dog Racing, unfortunately. He's now at the back of the grid and really, really feeling the effects of that now. Quite far behind after only a small issue. It is Traps leading them by 2.1, and a really strong start from him. Could go ahead and essentially do some good in today's race. Passy running in P2. It is Deckers running in 3rd. 4 is Pepe's. And Deckers might just be able to claim that podium that he's been waiting for today. It was absolutely his last week, but all went south on the remaining few laps. Today could be the day for him then. But we will just have to find out as he runs in P3, and will have to keep Pepe's at bay. And Pepe's is not someone that will, you know, settle very easily at all. So this is going to be a big deal now for Deckers to keep him behind. But lap 2 of 27 and a lot of laps in front of us then. We're expected to finish this race probably, you know, near the 10 o'clock time this evening. So looking to be pretty late as we look up to the front then, and Passy in 3rd, getting overtaken by Deckers now, who makes it a Red Bull 1-2 at the moment here in Suzuka. It was a great move, and it's Traps and Deckers together up at the front. It is Passy now who's going to try and fight him back though. Passy won the previous round. Now he's going to try and go for revenge on Deckers up the inside line down the pit wall. Passy into P2 he goes. Deckers loses a place. Pepe's is watching this as well. He's got Owen on his rear side. These guys at the front are really having a good battle then this evening at the moment, giving each other some proper good action through the first sector. Well, what a start it's been for the drivers. I have to admit, not many drivers really had any bad starts at all. Only like 2-3 positions lost on the start for some. It really wasn't horrendous. Fairly clean start for everybody here in Extinguished Motorsports. And, you know, the drivers they've got here clearly working together well at the moment and really in a good mesh. But they make their way all the way down the back straight now, then into the 3rd sector, sorry, and towards 130R. But we could see an overtake. You see the Aston Martin pulling out there. Pepe's trying to get through past Deckers right on the rear side of him, then ready to make an overtake when possible. Red Bull is just trying to keep himself at bay here. But now he's fighting on Passy. So many drivers here for overtakes. It is Deckers on Passy now then for the second position. Behind that as well simultaneously is Owen, and Pepe's in towards turn 1, and round goes the Alpine then. It's Passy who slides through turn 1. He loses many places down to P5 now as he's battling with the Williams of Dom Pedrito. Passy comes out ahead of that one, but he has lost out 2 places here, 3 places in fact, from only a few moments ago. Sliding then through turn 1. Deckers now has, you know, managed to be set free now into second place and running away with it a little bit. With 4/10 of a second too. Pepe's behind him. Oh, contact on the backside of Deckers there. Pepe's really bringing the action, putting the pressure on the backside, but it's Owen that's doing the same thing now to Pepe's and fighting as much as he can for a podium position here this evening. Not able to make a move at the inside line, but if he's already doing that this early on, what is he going to do later on? We're going to find out. He's absolutely on a roll. A brilliant camera angle now through 130R with the drivers. As here's Owen. He's going to go forward again, and this time with a little bit more road in front of him. But unfortunately, just pulling ahead there goes the Aston Martin. Must have been able to use a bit of battery, bit of that ERS. St. Power with a 3-second time penalty, and unfortunately slowest of the lot today behind Stray Dog and everybody else at the moment. It is a shame to see St. Power this far back, but someone has to be last, of course. As that was a close move then. Here comes the Aston Martin. Pepe's in third place, is fighting for P2 in the 5th lap of the Grand Prix. And the laps are ticking by quicker than I thought. They really, really are. If these guys are getting on with it then here in Japan and making the most of this evening so far. We have got a very nice start and a very nice bunch of drivers giving us some great action. With Dom Pedrito closing in on the backside of Passy here. Passy, of course, had a bit of a slip up earlier. You go ahead now to Owen, who has managed to get himself in the podium places, but his Pepe's now in a position to fight back. He's on the rear of him now, trying to use as much battery and a bit of slipstream that he can, but unfortunately, just not enough there to actually make the move stick. But he does go through 130R and he carries a little bit more speed then in towards the chicane. Now he has to turn that into a good exit, and now onto the main straight. Here we go then with Pepe's. Bit too far back, but Owen, here we go with him on Deckers then. Owen is absolutely flying this evening. He's going to clear Deckers round the outside line, and the McLaren making contact with the Red Bull as they go side by side in towards turn 1. Trapped still in the lead, 5.5 seconds ahead, but Deckers and Owen are having a great battle behind, and it is Deckers that comes out victorious at the moment. Well, some nice battles then what we're seeing here at the moment. Red 44 Dog in 9 with Tom Jouter behind him, and no move to be made there between the drivers' contact for Tom as he hits the backside of Red 44 Dog. Such a shame to see. We don't want any contact or any damage for the drivers, but it might have just happened there for Tom as he now tries to fight back. We're going to try and see visually if he made any damage there, but it isn't looking like it then on the racing borders. All the wing looks intact at the minute as we move ahead, and there's the moves happening here. Then a Red Bull there has got ahead of Owen, and it is Deckers there managing to keep himself afloat. But now Owen makes a really, really courageous dive around the outside line. Owen into P2 now ahead of Deckers. He's made the move stick then after sending it through. No fear at all in that man. He is now in second place. It is Deckers third then. Passy in 4, Dom Pedrito 5. Oh, Passy contact again. He slides through turn 1. We've seen it twice now. Passy then running sideways through turn 1 twice in one race. Lap 7 of 27 then. And Passy now down to P6 with Peppi's on his rear. He's really, really struggling today. He's completely had it. And it is a shame to see, but it is Traps, Owen and Deckers then, your top three at the moment, and looking really strong ahead of everybody else. As Andrew Pittsmith now has a bit of an issue. He drops down to P7. Well, the driver's getting on with this then as quick as they can, and Traps through 130R. He has a 7.4 second advantage over Owen in second place, and his teammate comes in third. Traps is really doing a great job at the moment in the Red Bull, and him and his teammate have looked like a bit of a united front today. Deckers unfortunately has dropped back now to behind Owen, but he might just be able to fight it back here then, as we'll see. He's got a bit of battery, but not as much as Owen here, so he might just lose out and lose a bit of time. Not, oh, never mind. Here we go. Then moving his way through. Ahead he goes. Owen barely uses any battery, saving it as much as he can. Deckers uses everything he can now to get ahead, and that might be where Owen is just going to be able to fly back through. You know, with the extra ERS on board. Oh, here we go. Deckers, oh, getting ahead there of Owen, holding his place as well. Deck into Owen in 3. Here's Owen then on Deckers. What a move this is going to be. Then Owen into second place through 130R. Look at that. Side by side then through there. And that was incredible. Don Pedrito's on the scene. Now he's into second place. What is going on here? Then everybody joining the party is Don Pedrito flying through 2 drivers here. He gets into second now. Owen is fighting with him too. They're nearly 3 abreast in towards turn 1 then. They are 3 abreast into turn 1. It's Deckers, Owen and Don Pedrito all with a chance of second place here. Them two run each other off the track. It is Owen and Deckers then go off. What is going on here? Owen has got the better end of it though. He goes into 2. Pepe's now into 3rd. He's fighting with Don Pedrito. They make contact then. Deckers now loses out again. 2 weeks in a row. Now he goes through to 4th again and 1 place away from the podium, but he's got Pepe's to fight now. It's all gone south for Deckers and Don Pedrito. But where has Pepe's come from? What is going on here? He's come out of absolutely nowhere on lap 9. Incredible overtaking and action then through the main straight in turn 1. Cannot believe that at all. Incredible racing for the drivers. That's what a battle that was. One of the best we've seen in a while here in Extinguished. Lap 9 now begins lap 10 of 27. 17 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. And only around 3 or 4 laps then before we reach half race distance this evening. And then, of course, we do have post-race interviews as well as Peppi's goes into P2 ahead of Owen now. Is Deckers going to try and spoil the party? I think he might just do that. The Red Bull isn't too far behind Owen here and looking ready to make an overtake. if possible then. Deck running in 4, Owen running in 3rd. Are we going to get an overtake here then? The Red Bull looking strong, but never mind as I speak too soon. He runs off the side of the track, and now this opens the door for Dom Pedrito, who is going to look now to the outside line in towards the hairpin we go. Don runs it very wide indeed. Deckers with a slightly better exit, but the Williams has managed to get the traction down, and now into 4th place he goes. Deckers losing another place. He's now in 5th, but he's going to fight back up the inside line. Deckers makes contact with the Williams, and now he loses out again. He gambled it all, and he came out a poorer man. Deckers then in P6. It is such a shame. Loses another place. As here is Andrew Pittsmith then up the inside line. Oh, contact again. Deckers there making the contact on the backside of Passy, the race winner from last week. Now into the pit lane goes Deck. He thinks it's time. He's going to get a speeding there. Oh, never mind. He's caught it just about. Owens in the pits as well, and Traps too. All on brand new tyres. The hards, I believe, have come out here. Yes, they have hards for him. It'll be the same for all of these drivers. Red 44 dog comes out on the softs as well as Deckers then. Soft compound tyres, which is a bit of a different one today. But softs it is. Deckers and Leeboy QAV are fighting it out then down in P8 and 9. Leeboy being in the pit lane 4 laps to go then for new medium compound tyres. There's also a battle going on behind with Percival and Tom J. Otter, who are really giving each other quite a bit of stick here. And it is the racing ball of Tom who runs it a bit wide there, and it's looking like Percival's running away. Pit stops then for the top 4. Pepe's Passy, Andrew and Don Pedrito. All in. Let's see where everybody else lines up now. Traps comes through. Who's heading down the pit straight then? Pepe's comes out of the pit lane. Owen makes his way down. Owen is a bit too far behind here to get ahead, and that hasn't done anything there. Don Pedrito comes out 4. St. Powers up in 5 then after not making a pit stop yet. Passy runs in P6 at the moment. Deckers in 7. Leeboy 8. 9 is Andrew, and 10 is Percival. Tom Gelter in the pit lane in 12. Red 44 Dog in 13. As he gets a new wing on as well. Locking up into the left side goes Traps. As Leeboy with a 3-second time penalty in everybody. 3 seconds of time penalties as he gets his first. And that is honestly really unlikely to see Leeboy getting a time penalty. He never gets one at all. Maybe a warning or two, but never a penalty. But he has got one today, unfortunately, and actually one of the only few. There's not many here that have got one today on lap 12 of 27, as we are soon to reach half race distance here then. Well, a great race so far, and Tom Giotta has retired on the track, unfortunately, everybody. He has retired on the track. Here's Andrew Pittsmith then and Leeboy QAV running in P7 and 8. These guys giving it a good battle. The Mercedes of Leeboy then getting closer to the Haas here, but not enough for an overtake just yet as they are running close. Well, lap 14 of 27, and we have reached about half race distance then, everybody. Traps as your leader by 10.1. Incredible, incredible. Right then, everybody, lap 15 of 27. Over half race distance then in this third round of the Extinguished Motorsports. Traps leading by 10.1 seconds over everybody else at the moment. And a bit of contact at the back as Deckers. His look has been absolutely horrible today, and he's now spun around on the hairpin. Now to the back of the grid this evening, losing places in the Red Bull, and once fighting for that podium, now he is down in P11. Back of the grid this evening. We've got a virtual safety car as well at the moment. Virtual safety car deployed. Not a full safety car then with the drivers, but Traps will be very mad about that indeed. He's going to have to slow down, and that, you know, that gap that he built, if the full safety car comes out, it will come down to 0. So in the pit lane then for a few drivers, Peppies and Owen currently on the hard compound, so it's looking like with the amount of laps we've got left, it could potentially be mediums now till the end, and it is the mediums for one of the drivers of Peppi's then. Owen comes out on the hards again, thinks it's a bit of a risk to try the mediums for 11 laps, which it could be. But Leeboy's going on these mediums for 9 laps at the minute, and he will be going into the pit lane soon with them, but we'll see how long he can last on them. Red 44 dog, Tom Giotta, the 2 retirees of the session, which is a shame, but a great race so far. And Decker's now in the pit lane. Like I mentioned, his look has been horrible this evening. And he now enters the pit lane, goes off of the soft compound and goes onto the hards till the end. He is the back of the grid now coming out. And no full safety car, never mind, he has retired. So we'll not be getting that interview from him later. He has retired from the session. Deckers has gone. His look was bad last week and even worse this week now. Loses that podium place that he was going for 2 weeks in a row. But Traps has had a great race, and he did finish second place last week in Canada. Tonight we go to Japan, and he's winning it by 12 over Passy. The roles are reversed this week. Passy, of course, won the race last week. Now he's the man 12 seconds behind Traps. It is all the way come full circle for the top two. And only 10 remaining laps. It's gone quite fast indeed. We had the restart earlier, of course, which has added a whole lot of time, about 20 minutes extra, unfortunately. But we are getting through this as quick as we can. But Deck in the chat as well. It's a shame to see you go, mate. Hopefully next week is a bit better for you. And Lee Boy, who was quite further back actually earlier on, he started to make his way back through. He has got a time penalty, which is going to be a bit of a pain for him when he crosses the line, but we shall find out. Pepe's in P6 then, and he is going to try and give a bit of a challenge here to Lee Boy in P5. The Aston Martin gaining as much as he can, 0.4 of a second, then the gap between the drivers at the moment, and they make their way through the middle sector. Now towards the final third, the gap gaining is getting much closer here between Pepe's and Lee Boy. All the way down the back straight we go in towards 130R. Can this Aston Martin make that move? How much battery has he got? He's got half battery, over half then. Lee Boy with under a quarter. Is the battery very low for the Mercedes? He's going to struggle quite a bit there. Up the inside line, a bit of contact on the Aston Martin now. He's fighting with the McLaren behind, but into the pit lane goes Lee Boy as his mediums, 10 laps old, have had enough. He's going to go on to potentially the mediums till the end then. It is possible at this point with 9 laps left. Of course, your post-race interviews coming up after this session as well with the top 3 drivers. And it's Passy, it's Traps, Passy and Andrew Pittsmith at the moment. Oh, in the background there, somebody well off the track, and I'm not entirely sure who that was. Yellow flags then from McLaren. It was Owen, all the way off. And it was looking like we're going to get him on the podium earlier, but he has dropped the ball a little bit, hasn't he? He's now down in 6. Not a time penalty to his name, which is, of course, a positive, but still not near that podium, which is a shame for him. Still looking like Traps' day at the minute, though. A 12-second advantage across the line to start lap 19, nearly into the 20s. This evening. Unfortunately, the action dying down, which should be an easy point in the race highlight reel, of course, when we get that posted, hopefully as soon as I can. As I was a bit late with the other one, I only just got the last week's posted tonight, which is a bit annoying, but I'm going to do tonight's as quick as I can. And hopefully get it posted, not the day of the next race. We'll find out. But lap 19 of 27 with the drivers. A few time penalties, like I mentioned. As Owen now is a driver to retire. He sent the car into the barrier earlier on, now into the pit lane and retires the car. Pit stops. Time penalties, my apologies at the minute. 3 seconds for Dom Pedrito, Stray Dog, and Lee Boy QAV. St. Power with 6, and the biggest out of everybody so far, but compared to Canada, the penalties aren't too bad at all. So it's looking pretty clean, it's looking pretty decent, but the action has died down, and nobody really that close between each other at the minute, apart from the 2 Mercedes of Lee Boy and Percival, who may give us some action soon, but still 0.8 of a second between them, and we're going to have to wait for that to happen. Well, the Mercedes fight has come quicker than expected, and Leeboy now at the inside of his teammate. He's made that move look really easy, and he now goes into 7th place. A very great move, and through he goes. But can he hold it with his teammate just behind, 0.6 of a second now? The gap, only 7 laps remaining in this Grand Prix, and the laps coming down very quickly indeed, ladies and gentlemen. How quick does it go here in Japan? It does vary between tracks of how fast it goes. You know, an example with Monza, absolutely rapid. You know, race is normally about 45 minutes, and Monza can be done in about 35, which of course isn't that too much less, but it does feel quicker. It really, really does. And a move here. Leeboy makes contact on the Aston Martin of Stray Dog, then gets a bit off-footed there. Leeboy now fighting back again with his teammates. Now they're side by side, heading down in towards the end of Sector 2. Who comes out ahead here? It is the car of Leeboy with the medium compound tyres. So, of course, the extra grip to keep him in front. But as the race goes on, and with the 6 remaining laps, the overall grip on those tyres is going to start to drop off compared to the hards, which can go, of course, a lot longer than every single other tyre we have. It's a front left locking up there for traps. As you can see the smoke coming from behind, and the Red Bull pushing on still with a gap of 10.6 and being fairly consistent with his lap times today. Passes behind him, not really taking any chunks out of his time, and it looks like we're going to get this finishing order if it carries on like this. Well, we look back then to the only battle left in tonight's race. It is Leeboy against Stray Dog Racing. Nice to see Stray Dog getting a bit of competition here, but Leeboy does fly straight through. It's looking like he let him pass there then as he moves to the side. And the Aston Martin not wanting to fight at all, then letting Leeboy fly through. And we don't get any battles there, unfortunately. Well, can we get the battle between Percival and Stray Dog coming down? It's 0.6 at the minute, and of course, the power of the DRS will allow him a bit closer, but is Stray Dog going to give the same treatment to Percival that he did to Leeboy? Both teammates, of course, these Mercedes, and Stray Dog is the man in the middle. Which way is this going to go? Then this is the same length of track, of course, that Straight let him past, but Percival a little bit too far back then. 0.8 of a second is the gap. Straight racing with the time penalty, then adds to the tally. I believe that's another one to his name. It should be a 6. It is. So 2 drivers now with 6 seconds. And only 2 now with 3 as Percival does finally make that pass on Straight. St. Power now with a penalty as well. And that'll be 9 seconds now to him as they add up even further. Locking up goes Traps, and he's lost a bit of time as well to Passy. Now 9.5 seconds between them, but only about 3 laps left in the Grand Prix. 3 to 4 laps left now, and Traps is on the verge of winning a Grand Prix. Last week, my apologies. He, of course, came second place, just behind Passy. Now Passy is just behind Traps, and he's really given it a good go at the minute. He really has. Both of the drivers have, and Passy's actually bringing the gap down slightly, both on the hard compound. Let's see what the tyre difference is. It is only 1 lap then, offset, with, of course, Passy holding the advantage, and that maybe explains why he's gaining slightly. He's found another gear here then. He really is bringing the gap down, but with the amount of laps left, it's not going to be enough time. Passy's back end sliding out as well, losing a bit of time there. And with only a few laps to go, it's looking pretty much wrapped up for the Red Bull. Just has to bring it home now for the final few laps. The yellow flag showing through the first sector, through the first corner, and it is Pepe's and Dom Pedrito. Dom Pedrito heading slowly there. Maybe a bit of contact that we missed, but that has all been cleared up now. Dom Pedrito with a penalty now as well on the penultimate lap of the race. And look at the gap now. It is 8.4 between the top 2. And Passy really needed to find this extra pace earlier on because there's just simply not enough time for him to gain and you know, take that P1. If he had a few more laps, it could potentially happen. You can see the gap now coming nearly below 7 seconds, and it is really, really coming down quicker than earlier, but just not enough time. Only you know, the rest of this lap and one more. And then Traps will be your winner. He has led a brilliant race today. He really has, and doesn't deserve it to be taken away from him. Pretty much led every single lap, apart from the safety car laps, you know, midway through. So he's really, really led a good one. And now towards the line for the final corner to begin the final lap of the Grand Prix. The action died down towards the end, unfortunately, but moments like this are always good where the drivers win the race by quite a large margin. Passy was one of them last week, of course, won over Traps by about 20 odd seconds. It was a huge gap in the wet conditions. Passy really came alive, and that might just be why he thrives in them. But it is the other way around tonight with Traps the man in front, and the gap, of course, was about 12 seconds earlier on. Unfortunately, only now down to 8.9. But still a large gap between Traps and Passy up at the front. Very large indeed. As Pepes gets runs off the track there, I think. Off wide, Dom Pedrito manages to be the man in front of that. But the final lap, and Traps slowly making his way around, trying to maintain the gap on 16 lap hold hards. Then he's run these extremely long, and they will be crying out for help, ready for him to stop because the tyres have been worn in so much. 16 laps on the same compound is a long, long time. Over halfway, quite a bit over half then, of this Grand Prix. He has run those tyres, and they have worked out well for him. Passy, of course, on one lap younger, and that is why he's been able to bring the gap down. But on the whole, it has been Traps' day. Even when Passy tries to bite back and bring the gap down, Traps does his best to maintain it, and he's absolutely done that today. 8.4 seconds he crosses the line with. Traps wins the Grand Prix this evening. He wins in Suzuka as he crosses the line and taps the barrier to lose his wheel as well. Passy over the line, claims P2 at the end of that one then, and it is Andrew Pittsmith with a podium after a long, long time of waiting. He's now back on the podium here in Extinguished Motorsports then, and we hopefully will get him in the interview room very shortly. But a very nice race for the drivers. Dom Pedrito comes round soon then to finish in 4th position tonight. Pepes will come round for 5th. Now 4th on penalties actually. P5 is Dom Pedrito. Everybody crashing down the main straight at the end as we look for Leeboy QAV fighting with his teammate Percival on the backside. Who will take this final few spots here? It is P6 for Leeboy. Isn't looking like he's going to lose it here across the line. Finishes tonight's race, but he does lose it on the penalties. It is Percival 6. P7 is Leeboy QAV. Straight up racing then. We'll cross the line in 8, and St. Powell, unfortunately, the last driver in P9. Well, that is it then. The end of a great race. Of course, the start, a hell of a lot of action was going on. It died down towards the end. Traps does not want to interview, so I will get the other two in. Well, here's your finisher results then. Bit of a crazy race. We've got Passy and Andrew Pittsmith then for an interview if they want one. I'm going to ask them. Wait to see if we can get an interview then. Of course, we've been told Traps not interested tonight for an interview, but the other two could potentially be interested. We've not spoken to Andrew Pittsmith in a long while, as well as Passy as well, but we'll find out if they want to. Just bear with me, everybody. We'll just wait and see if anyone's interested. It isn't looking like it, to be honest. It's looking quite radio silent in the Discord, so it might just be called there, to be honest. We'll see. I think that might be it. We'll see Andrew Pittsmith message in the chat now then. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, it isn't looking like we're going to get anybody for the interview room tonight. Not happened in a long time. But that will be the end for this race then. Of course, round 3 here in Japan, Suzuka. And next week, of course, we don't know what the track is because it gets picked out during the week. But I'll be back next Wednesday to do it all again. Thanks for joining me and good night.